Okay, Hockey Talk Show, Season 3, Episode 8. Welcome in to everybody who's watching live, Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up all around and show some support. Share it if you can as well on your Twitter and Facebook accounts. And, of course, if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much. Make sure you guys rate and review, especially over there at Apple Podcasts. We have got a full slate of hockey topics to talk about this evening, including the Philadelphia Flyers revolutionizing the game of hockey, opening up the first ever Rage Room inside the Wells Fargo Center. It's unbelievable. We'll take a look at it. Plus, Patrick Marleau is back in the National Hockey League. Yes, with the San Jose Sharks. I can't believe it. It's a hysterical story, at least from a hockey talk show standpoint. We'll get into that as well. The Winnipeg Jets D stuns everybody with a hell of a game to get a W for Winnipeg. Congratulations to them. And we'll take a look at some of the surprising stories to start the season. Anaheim, Carolina, trade rumors, so much more. Jam-packed episode. Your comments, your questions. The only two-way hockey talk show on the web starts right now. All right, should be fun talking about this. Let's start with the Philadelphia Flyers. They have opened up their first ever, and the first ever in its existence, Rage Room in the National Hockey League. This is kind of a crazy yet revolutionary idea. I applaud the Philadelphia Flyers for consistently coming up with new ways to do things great off the ice. If only they would come up with a way to do some great things on the ice. Burn. Sorry, Philly fans. It's true, though. I do like the team a little bit better this year than in years past. I do like some of their additions. They overpaid Kevin Hayes, but I like him on this team. I love the addition of Alain Vigneault. I expect great things for the Philadelphia Flyers, but I was not expecting this, a Rage Room. Now, the idea of taking out some rage at a hockey event is not a new thing. You know, down in Nashville, they do have Smashville, and down there they have they usually throw a car outside and people smash it with hammers and everything else. But the idea of putting the room inside in an all-weather situation is kind of new and revolutionary. So this is Katie, what's her name? I don't know. Katie something from ESPN. She got a tour. And, of course, Gritty is involved. If you're listening on a podcast, go back to the Facebook or YouTube channels and check out the visuals here. Gritty is hysterical, by the way. What a huge win Gritty is. But anyway, it's a room full of TVs and, you know, glass things and hockey sticks and hammers and baseball bats, and you pay $35 and you get in there and you smash the crap out of everything. This will especially come in handy after a Flyers loss. This room will be jam-packed. There will be a lot. Look, you don't do a move like this and not expect to get a little bit of flack for it. The Rangers had to see that. The Flyers had to see that coming. But I'm telling you right now, as I sit here with you guys, episode 8, season 3, Hockey Talk Show, Wednesday, October 9th, every single team in the National Hockey League is going to follow suit and do this. Every single team. As we watch Gritty smash a mirror indoors, he ain't worried about bad luck whatsoever. He's taking some good cuts. Man, he is taking some good cuts in there. Thumbs up on the Facebook and YouTube right now if you appreciate just smashing the hell out of stuff just to get some of that frustration out. I do love the idea. I really, really do. Anyway, back to what I was saying about Gritty. He's a win. The kids love him. He's like a huge story outside of the hockey world. They're doing everything right off the ice over there in Philly. If only they can follow that with some on the ice, activity, that would be great. Valerie Camillo, Flyers and Wells Fargo Center President of Business Operations, said in a press release, the concept is definitely one of a kind and non-traditional. We ran the concept by some of our fans who told us they thought this would be a fresh way to have some harmless fun. I had never heard of a Rage Room before. The design team pitched the idea. Now I can't wait to get in there and take a few whacks. The Rage Room style space allows fans and guests to a stress-relieving outlet amid all the in-game action through scheduled sessions that can be reserved in advance. Participants wearing protective gear can smash, break, and unleash their rage upon everyday items like televisions and dishes using bats, sledgehammers, and more. Some of the items can be disassembled, might even bear the logo of the opposing team. Oh, I like that. Imagine rolling in there with a big, stupid Ranger logo on that TV. You smash the crap out of it. That's going to be great for Flyers fans. Put a couple of pictures of Sidney Crosby on those vases. What do you say, vase or vase? Put Crosby on that mirror, smash the crap out of it. There's something hysterical about Gritty's wacky eyes just bobbling around as he takes big cuts, smashing up a mirror. It's just hysterical to me. It really is hysterical. That's Katie Nolan, by the way. Thanks to Twitter on that one. Katie Nolan of ESPN got the first chance to get a couple of whacks in over there on the Flyers' brand spanking new Rage Room. Never thought I'd see that coming. Again, they kind of took the Smashville idea and brought it inside and also made it a thing. I think Nashville really only does that during the playoffs. So it is revolutionary. It is. And I'm telling you right now, you're not only going to see this in the National Hockey League, you're going to start to see this everywhere else. And then somebody will get a piece of mirror to the eye, and then it will all come crashing down and end. I mean, I hope it doesn't happen, but let's all be honest with each other. It's going to happen. Somebody's going to get a piece of glass in the eye here, even though she was wearing that big, like, welder's mask protective thing, and someone's going to get all messed up for sure. For sure. Now, the cool part about this is, from what I understand, to access the Rage Room, this according to ESPN.com, to access the Rage Room, fans make a reservation at a specific time during or after a Flyers home game. The cost is $35 for individuals and $60 for groups of two. This is a mistake. You put two people in there, someone on a backswing is going to catch a bat right to the eye. So that'll definitely stop really soon. Participants receive 5 minutes to smash items and are given one 5-gallon bucket of smaller breakable items and one medium-sized item to break. The Rage Room let me see here. Blah, blah, blah. I thought I saw something like this is in a specific area. Okay. The Rage Room is located in a hidden library wall entrance in the team's new assembly room lounge and bar area. The anger cave allows Flyer fans to take out their aggression with Hasselline and team to dish. Okay. So I like that they also went to the extra effort to put it in a secret location, you know, a la the old Batman series. You got to kind of pull the book off the wall and the door opens up for you, and then you can sneak back there and start smashing the crap out of things. I love this idea. I love it big time. Welcome everybody in who's commenting on the YouTube channel. Hey, Louie, how's it going, man? Aaron writes in, Pittsburgh needs trades. I agree. We're going to talk about Pittsburgh trade rumors in a second, Aaron. Hang with us, my man. Let's talk about the San Jose Sharks. So yesterday on this show, episode 7, season 3, we were talking, and I don't know what came up, but the San Jose Sharks came up, and I think we were talking about their bad start. That's what we were talking about. San Jose Sharks 0-3, bad start. I go, what they need is Patrick Marleau. He'll dig him out of this. Entirely joking, completely messing around joking. Little did I know that at the time that I was making that joke and poking fun of the idea of Patrick Marleau coming back to the San Jose Sharks, he had already signed, and they had yet to announce the fact that Patrick Marleau was going back to the San Jose Sharks. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I'm sitting here goofing around like, how embarrassing, how hysterical would this be? Haha, if Patrick Marleau comes back. It was already a done deal. I mean, I don't know what the San Jose Sharks are thinking here. I mean, look, you're off to, what are they, 0-4 now? I think they're off to an 0-4 start, if I'm not mistaken. I'll bring up the standings really quickly here. But I believe San Jose is off to an 0-4 start. Worst start like in franchise history. 0-4, 17 goals allowed. They have a minus 12 goals against differential. Nobody told them that the season started yet. Nobody told them. And so they're sitting there looking at this roster and they go, as I made a joke, they go, I know what we need. How's about Patty Marleau? Look, I'm not saying it's not going to help them, but I don't know. I reserve a lot of skepticism on this one. I mean, they barely have any cap space as it is. In fact, as they sit here today, they have a projected cap space of $7,837. That is scary. That is scary. If your average fast food employee has more money in the bank than you have cap space, that's a little scary to me. That's a smidge on the worrisome side. They can't get anything going, though. Couture, Kane, Meyer, Hurt. Well, Kane's he got that 3-game suspension, so he was only in for 1 game. But Joe Thornton, I got to tell you something else, too. I watched Joe Thornton in a preseason game. I love Jumbo Joe, and I got respect for my elders, but, man, the guy's moving awfully slow. Awfully, awfully slow. And this is a speed game, as we can see with the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, my God. Has that team not been impressive? So I don't know if Patrick Marleau helps. I don't even know where you fit him on this lineup. I touched base with some San Jose people, and they told me that today, and I wonder if Daily Faceoff has this. I'm going to check right now. I haven't even looked yet. They told me that today in practice he skated on the top line with Timo Meier. Look, maybe they know something we don't. I understand that they're comfortable with the guy. He got bought out by San Jose. Carolina was willing to take him, too, which is kind of hilarious. Because I think he would have been a nice little fit down there with the Carolina Hurricanes, especially not bringing back Justin Williams. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, supposedly the speed is still there. That's what they're saying. The speed is still there. If the speed is still there, then, God bless him. Yeah, Daily Faceoff has him slotted in with Logan Couture and Timo Meier. Kane, Hurdle, and Gaudreau is on that second line. Thornton is centering the third line with Bergman and LeBanc. And Yurdikin, Gambrel, and Radel is that fourth line for San Jose. I don't know what's going on with the San Jose Sharks, man, or what's happening to them on the defensive side. Martin Jones hasn't looked good in a little while there. And he's certainly not getting off to the start that most people wanted him to get off to. I picked San Jose, I think, to go to the Stanley Cup final, so I feel like a big fat idiot right now. But, I mean, look, it's still early. It's 4 games. It's a rough start, though. It's obviously that the season isn't over yet. But you got to be careful of these things because you start to get into this little bit of a spiral, and before you know it, 4 games turns into 8. Next thing you know, you're 15 games into this season. You're like 3-12, and it's over. You're done for. So you got to watch out if you're the San Jose Sharks for sure. But let's add 12 to the mix and let's see what's what. Let's see what happens. Mike Babcock was in a press conference this morning. He said he knew he was going to stick in the National Hockey League again this year, even though the Leafs moved him. And, he said he's not surprised. He said, I'm sure he didn't want it to take as long, but he got there. So Patrick Marleau back in the National Hockey League. What do you want to talk about? Pittsburgh, Carolina, Winnipeg. Let's mention Winnipeg quickly. Again, I love to point out when I'm right, and I got no problem pointing out when I'm wrong. Sat here yesterday on the show, and I told you guys Winnipeg is in trouble. I don't know what they're going to do. They got no defense. None of these guys have any sort of experience in the National Hockey League. I threw the stat around that I was so proud to have. The Jets defense in last night's game had a combined 361 games of experience in the National Hockey League. The next worst was the Colorado Avalanche with 1,461. So they had over 1,100 more games worth of experience than the Winnipeg Jets. And not only did the Winnipeg Jets win, but Neil Pionk scored, and the young defenseman kid, who I didn't know how to pronounce his name, Ville Heinola, he scored. So not only did their defense do well to stop Pittsburgh, but they scored half the goals that Winnipeg wound up scoring that night. I mean, it's crazy. Now, Pittsburgh is beat up and battered. Of course, they're without Malkin. They're without Bukestad. They got a lot of issues there. They're trying to bring Galchenyuk into the mix, right? So Pittsburgh is not without their issues. So maybe Winnipeg got lucky, go running into a team that's struggling a bit more than they are right now with the injuries and whatnot. But I mean, Winnipeg went in there with those 361 games of experience and got the win. So kudos to them, man. Kudos to them. Ville Heineler's first NHL goal helped the Winnipeg Jets get the franchise first victory in Pittsburgh in nearly 13 years. They haven't won a game in Pittsburgh in 13 years. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Ending an 18-game losing streak, 0-14-4 by the Jets/Atlanta Thrashers in Pittsburgh since Atlanta's 4-2 win at Mellon Arena in December 27th of 2006. Wow. That's crazy. Congratulations to him. That's unbelievable. James Neal absolutely beat the living daylights out of the New York Islanders last night. I don't even want to talk about that. But my man scored 4 goals. He had a hat trick, I think, in the second period. I don't know. The Islanders were looking like the San Jose Sharks last night at the Coliseum. Not a great start for them. I said this before, too. Again, I just admitted I was wrong about the Winnipeg defense. Let me pat myself on the back now, bring the confidence back up a bit. I said this Lucic for Neal thing, this was a huge win for the Edmonton Oilers. Huge win. Because James Neal was in a bad situation in Calgary. It wasn't him, it was the situation. It was definitely Milan Lucic. It was not the situation with him in Edmonton. It was Milan Lucic is the problem. Milan Lucic is the problem. James Neal in Calgary, that situation was the problem. You know what I mean? So you swap them heads up. You trade one problem for another. But I didn't expect Milan Lucic to help out much in Calgary. And as it turns out, he really, really hasn't. So that will continue to be an ongoing thing that's going to look pretty bad for the Calgary Flames. The Ducks, the Boston Bruins, each 3-0. They won on the road last night. The standings are pretty interesting. And the Carolina Hurricanes are 4-0. The Carolina Hurricanes are, Edmonton is 3-0, by the way. They're off to a pretty good start with their win last night at the Coliseum. The Carolina Hurricanes look damn good. They look damn good. And I will say, you can go back to the prediction show here. I was kind of like hemming and hawing. I was like, I don't know. I think it was like episode 2 of this season. I was like, I don't know. Episode 3, I'm kind of like, maybe I'm coming around on Carolina. Like by episode 4, I was like, before they even played any games, I was like, you know what? I think Carolina's going to finish in the top 3. Because that whole division just looks odd. But Carolina has the goods. Rod Brendamore's got those guys skating. By the way, they skate. They skate. I forget what the stat was, but the other night they had like 14 shots or something like that. It was like 14-0 in the game that they played. They are just smothering other teams. Smothering. It's crazy what the Carolina Hurricanes are doing right now. I mean, they're fun to watch. They are really, really fun to watch. I'm loving every little part about the Carolina Hurricanes. If you have a chance to watch their game, watch one of their games. They had 4 goals in the first 12 minutes of their game the other night. 4 goals in the first 12 minutes. They're not waiting for other teams to get warmed up. They are barreling through other teams. It's an exciting time to be a Carolina Hurricanes fan for sure. Bringing in Justin Falk too. I mean, trading out Justin Falk too and bringing in Gardner. They haven't missed a beat. They haven't missed a beat for sure. Let's see here. Definitely bring up rebuilt for the cup. Let's go Rangers, says Shasta. St. Louis is a prime example. Anything could happen. Yeah, I mean, I think you're going back to my San Jose comment. Of course, look, it's too early. We're 4 or 5 games into the season. Things are going to drastically change all around. You know, if you're San Jose, even we're sitting here, we're praising, we're dumping on San Jose for coming in and signing Patrick Marleau, and we're praising the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, it's way too early to lock anything in. I said 10 games in, I'll sit here and I'll make my predictions on the season, and I'll feel good about it. I mean, you still got to contend with injuries and things of that nature, but by 10 games in, you can get a good sense of where the teams are going and where their struggles are. But, I mean, the San Jose Sharks, not that Patrick Marleau is going to be the answer, and I know San Jose knows that, but they're non-existent on the defensive side of the puck. I don't mind starting the season 0-4. What I mind with San Jose is a -12 goal differential. That's brutal. That is brutal. I think the next worst goal differential is the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are sitting here at 1-2 with a -7. I mean, they just had Sergei Bobrovsky go walking out the door. So, I mean, at least they have an excuse. I don't know what the excuse is for San Jose. And I mean, like we all know, the goaltending for the Sharks wasn't all that great towards the tail end of last season. Martin Jones didn't have, I would say, like a typical Martin Jones year. But, I mean, everybody expected him to bounce back, and he just has not yet. He really hasn't yet. Good comments coming in. Winnipeg is not looking good. Let's see here. Pens might be getting Victor Rask. You're in trouble when you're going, hey, is Victor Rask available? Yeah, I'm calling for Victor Rask. Is he around? Is he easily obtainable? Let's talk about the trade rumors coming out of Pittsburgh, because there are plenty of them. TSN's Bob McKenzie reports that injuries sidelining Malkin and Bukestad for the next 4 weeks. Obviously, we've been talking about that. While there's no way they can find a suitable replacement for Malkin, McKenzie wonders if they'll draw upon their blue line depth to find some short-term help in the market. We talked about Jack Johnson being available, although I'm not sure who's going to go out and want to get Jack Johnson. But still, McKenzie was speculating that if you throw in Eric Goodbranson into the mix, maybe you can have a decent return, bring somebody in coming back the other way. Rob Rossi from The Athletic reports that Penn's general manager Jim Rutherford said it's too early to pursue a trade for a center. Rutherford tried to peddle Johnson at the end of training camp. Rossi speculates he could call up a couple of forwards from their AHL affiliates. So there you go. We talked about the trade speculation behind Jack Johnson. Here's Jimmy Rutherford admitting to Rob Rossi of The Athletic, yeah, I tried to trade him towards the end of training camp and no dice. So, there you go. You're not going to get anything for Jack Johnson. Maybe Goodbranson and Johnson. But again, if I'm not going to take one tired old defenseman, why am I going to take one tired old defenseman and another mediocre defenseman? I don't see how that's much of an appeal for anybody there. But that's what we're talking about now with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They do, look, they do have some other options. Elliot Friedman suggested Juuso Ricola as an option. Pens have some youth down there that they can bring in. We talked about McCann. He scored 2 goals as soon as Malkin was taken out of that game with the injury. He pops into Malkin's spot, puts 2 in. Look, he didn't do great last night against Winnipeg, but they have that electric D. So, I mean, how could you contain the defense of the Winnipeg Jets? It's hard to play against that. It's hard to play against that for sure. But look, kudos to Pionk. I mean, I haven't been critical of Neil Pionk, but I have been little Weisenheimer when it comes to him, in the Trouba trade. I didn't expect him to even make the roster, maybe be a 6th defenseman. But now since, Winnipeg has all these issues and Morrissey's out and Kulikov and, Bufflin is out, half their defensive core just walks out. Trouba, the trade. Pionk's come in and he's been pretty good. He's held his own, I will say, now that he's like the go-to guy, the most experienced guy out there. Deirdre writing in, I expect a better game last night from the Islanders. Brock has been horrible. Entire team basically was bad. Dobson looked good. Also, you think there will be issues with re-signing Barzell? Hi to you. Love the show. Thank you, Deirdre. I appreciate that. I don't foresee a lot of issues with signing Matthew Barzell. I think they'll have the money for him for sure. I think that Barzell wants to be here. He's the guy. He still looks good. A couple times, too many. He holds on to the puck a little too long, and he's been getting stripped lately this season. 2 or 3 times he got stripped bad and had an odd man rush going the other way. So Barzell still got some room to work on his game there, but I like Barzy a big time. I think that room is super tight, which you don't really see a lot of. I think the Bruins room is super tight. I think the Islanders room is super tight. You don't have a lot of teams that have been around for a long time that have been together like these guys have been, like Boston and the Islanders. They actually have been around for a while. Boston more than the Islanders, but still, you get the point. And I think Lou's got his thing going on, and I don't think it'll be much of an issue. I think Barzy likes to play in the system of in the system of what Lou and Barry Trotz have put together. I will say Barry Trotz looked pissed last night. He looked none too happy with that team. They kind of crumbled in the defensive zone. They really did. And Dobson was okay, but I forget which goal it was, but he got beat on one of those goals. So he had a nice assist later on in the game, but he did get beat on one of those goals. Might not have been the night to go ahead and pull 55 from the lineup. But hey, I agree with it. We talked about it last night on this show. Hindsight's, is 2020. But I said last night on the show, I don't mind sitting 55 for 8 in a game for sure. I don't mind that whatsoever. But the defense, not the defensemen, the defensemen, yes, but the defense for the Islanders last night, forwards and defensemen, were not great in their own zone. And I think that, what's his name? Semyon Varlamov was just mediocre. I thought Greiss was a lot better. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, again, it's only a 3-game sample, but when Varlamov started the first game, I got the idea, and we saw Trotz kind of lean on Leonard last year a little bit more than Greiss. I kind of got the sense that he was going to continue that with Varlamov this season. But now after watching these 3 games, because essentially each goaltender has played a game and a half, because Varlamov got pulled, I think, in the second last night, I have a feeling he's going to lean on Greiser a little bit more, as he should, because if Greiser's going to sit there and play 30 games, 35 games, you might as well give him the bulk of the load up top, because Varlamov is still kind of, making their way in there. You know what I mean? Priscilla, what are my thoughts on the Devils? Shocked by the Devils' slow start. 0-1. They're 0-1-1. Not a win just yet. They don't look great. I was hoping that this would be the hop back year for Corey Schneider. I like them going into, are they playing tonight or tomorrow night? They take on the Flyers tonight. They take on the Flyers tonight. I like Simmons in that game. Hopefully he'll have a lot to prove against his former team. Maybe get a little pop in there and make some things happen. Again, it's 2 games, but I'm disappointed to the start. I don't think that Hines should be fired. I think he's got a little bit of a longer leash. There. Vancouver, Aaron, what are my thoughts on Vancouver? I like Vancouver. I'm kind of like waiting in the bushes with them. I mean, a lot of people are picking them to do something there. They're 0-2 to start the season. They have a game tonight against the Kings. They'll name their captain. We talked about this on the last episode of the show. I expect it to be Bo Horvat. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. Could be Brock Besser, but I think it's going to be Bo Horvat. And they got the Kings, who are coming off a huge win against the Calgary Flames last night. So it's not going to be an easy one for Vancouver. Vancouver is one of those wild card teams for me where I think they're going to kind of float around right outside a playoff spot and maybe pounce. It's a long season. Better teams tend to play better down the stretch. I don't know if Vancouver will have that in them, but I think they'll hang around long enough to be in the conversation. I really think that Vancouver is going to hang around long enough to be in the conversation. But I mean, look, we've had a couple of surprises. Tampa's not off to a great start. You know what I mean? Detroit's 2-1. Detroit's, sitting in a first wild card spot right now. Again, it's only 3 games. It's fun to play around with this, but Buffalo's off to a great start. Edmonton doesn't seem to care about all of their 25 to 30 place finishes over the last 10 years. They're off to a great start. They look really good. Things are very bizarre to start this season so far. Pretty bizarre. All right, now Adam is telling me that the Pens just placed Alex Galchenyuk on injured reserve. Is that true? If I can get confirmation on that, that would be, I mean, you're talking about a all-time horrific start for the Pittsburgh Penguins. All-time horrific start. I mean, this is what you're talking about. This is what you want to avoid if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I mean, we've talked about that ad nauseum. Putting all your faith in four players, it's really, really tough. You start losing a couple of those guys. Now you take a look at what Pittsburgh's got to deal with here. They're getting gutted. They are getting absolutely gutted. Man, that is tough. That is tough for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jesus. And it's not like Galchenyuk was the answer. I mean, he's been here just to kind of see if he could work it all out. You know what I mean? Yeah, Alex Galchenyuk placed on injury reserve. Adam with the scoop on Facebook. Nicely done, my friend. Good for you breaking some news here on the Hockey Talk Show. Finally, to wrap things up, I want to talk about this Drew Doughty and Drew Doughty-Matthew Tkachuk rivalry, which manifested itself in last night's game. Here's an interview that was done on the Calgary Flames post-game with Matthew Tkachuk. You'll hear from him first, and then you'll hear some comments from Drew Doughty. These guys have slashed the crap out of each other. There was a nasty elbow involved here. There's a lot of back and forth between these two, and they met last night on the ice. But let's start with the pre-game comments before last night's game from Matthew Tkachuk and Drew Doughty, just to set the stage on how much these guys really actually hate each other.
Doughty does not like you. This is a rivalry that goes back to March of 17 when you gave him an elbow. And as recently as March of last season, 2 years later, Doughty said he had no respect for you, would never talk to you. But has it ever crossed your mind
I think
that
we
maybe
lost
you
the feed
should
there
show
for a
an
second. Here, let's go back.
comes to Drew Doughty's harsh thoughts on you?
Goes right in one ear, out the other. I'm really looking forward to Tuesday's game.
All right. But has it ever crossed your mind that maybe you should show a Norris Trophy winner and a Stanley Cup champion more respect?
I showed Gio respect. He's a Norris Trophy winner.
Okay.
I like that.
He's referring to Mark Giordano, the defenseman on his own team.
Why hasn't it been squashed between the two of you? And it could have easily been if one of you guys even complimented each other, but that's not. It seems like that's not going to happen.
Well, I think we both know who the better player is, so if he wants to compliment me first, then I'll give him one back.
Burn. Drew Doughty talking about, I think we both know who the better player is. If he wants to compliment me first, I'll give him a compliment back. I got to tell you something, guys. I love this. There's just a little too much warm, cozy feeling amongst the players for me these days. You know what I'm saying? Little too much warmth. I like a little nastiness in there. I like a little, these guys can actually get out of hand and really, bruise each other up. You know what I mean? A little feistiness between Drew Doughty and Matthew Tkachuk here, slashing at each other, throwing elbows, talking about let him compliment me first if he wants a compliment back in return. They got nasty last night during the game, which, by the way, as you can see on your screen here, Drew Doughty not only won in overtime, but pulled the old Hulk Hogan hand-to-ear move in Calgary on their fans like, I can't hear you. Because that room went silent when Drew Doughty scored in overtime. By the way, Calgary was up 3-0. 3-0. So I like this rivalry continuing. By the way, after the game, Doughty downplayed the rivalry and said it was more about getting a team win. When Kristen Anderson told Matthew Tkachuk about Drew Doughty wanting to bury the hatchet, Tkachuk's response, I'm excited for round 2 in 2 weeks in L.A. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Some feistiness, some vigor, some screw that guy. A little too buddy-buddy in the National Hockey League these days. A little too buddy-buddy in general. I like these guys getting a little nasty with each other. Remember the days? Look, it wasn't that long ago. I can remember going to Rangers Islander games where you had to show up in warm-ups because you knew something was going to go down before the game. I'm talking about bench clearing brawls in warm-ups. You just don't see that anymore in the last 10, 15 years of the National Hockey League. And I like a little bit of this bite coming back. I like it big time. It's time for Pittsburgh to trade like now. Yeah, well, Jimmy Rutherford just sat there and told you it's too early to make a move for a centerman. Does this change things? Does this change the dynamic with Galchenyuk? I would say so, for sure. What's up to Bruins? Phil checking in. Appreciate you being here, my friend. Real. Noah Dobson is a superstar. All right, listen. It's one game. I don't know if we can give Noah Dobson the Norris Trophy. Like I said, he's going to get a lot of credit today for being on a last-minute goal, being on an assist there for Matt Martin. But he was in a bad position to give up one of those goals for sure. I do like his game. I have a lot of. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it for sure. I think if he plays really well and they get him into a groove, I think bringing him along slowly is the plan. I think mid-year then the Islanders will try and shift one of their D men for a forward to bring in a little bit more scoring help. The Islanders need a smidge more of scoring touch in their top six. And somebody was taking a dump on Brock Nelson before. I forget who it was. Rightfully so. He deserves it. I love Brock Nelson. I'm a huge fan, but anybody who watches the game as close as I do knows it takes that guy a little while to get started. It takes him a little while to get warm up sometimes. When he gets going, he's unstoppable. I shouldn't say unstoppable. When he gets going, he's good. He's good. He's not going just yet. He's not quite there just yet. And the Islanders, let's be honest with each other, they've got one win so far, and it's against the Winnipeg Jets, who are pretty awful. Who are pretty awful right now. Despite the fact that their one win was amazing, but it was against the Devils, who also pretty awful right now so far in the early going here of the season. All right, we covered it all. Rage Room in Philadelphia, Patrick Marleau signing, and what the hell the San Jose Sharks are thinking about, I don't know. We talked about the Carolina Hurricanes off to a great start. The Doughty and Tkachuk feud, which continues. By the way, Tkachuk had 2 goals in the game last night, but Doughty had the game winner in overtime. To me, that's a win. His team won. He got the overtime winner. That's more valuable than the 2 goals, if you ask me. I forget who asked about the Barzal contract. Deirdre, it's interesting that you say that because Elliot Friedman just reported that Roman Yossi's contract negotiation with the Preds has hit a bit of a snag. There was momentum in talks during the summer, but that has now stopped. Interesting to see what Roman Josi gets. They're speculating that he could be asking for around $9 million per season, and that is a lot. We all know that David Poile does not like to spend a lot of money on players. He likes to keep those contracts as low as he possibly can. And we're still looking at Alex Pietrangelo here because Oliver Ekman-Larsson seems to be, the baseline here at $8.25 million. So Pietrangelo, Josi, some of these guys are going to want to get up in those 9s where Drew Doughty wound up landing. So we'll follow that. I think there's going to be a lot of movement. Obviously, there always is. But I think some of the RFAs, I don't think it'll be as crazy as we saw this past season. But it could be. We'll see. I would expect Matthew Barzal to be signed by around Christmas time, New Year's. I would expect something to get done there at some point. But it's not like they're in a hurry. Excuse me. They've got some time, to make those moves. So we'll see what happens. Good night of hockey ahead of us here tonight. Take a look at the schedule. Montreal and Buffalo are already off to a start. By the way, Buffalo's playing really good. So is Montreal. Both those teams are playing great. Give me Buffalo at home. Give me the Philadelphia Flyers. No. Give me the New Jersey Devils. I like Simmons. Give me the New Jersey Devils in Philadelphia. Get something going there. I think Vancouver naming their captain will be all pumped up. That's going to be a tight game between the Kings and Vancouver. Not going to be an easy win for Vancouver. Good test for them tonight for sure. Let's see what happens. Give me Vancouver at home naming a new captain. I like that a lot. 3 games tonight, a little bit of a slow night. I really like tomorrow night, Tampa and Toronto. That's a game I want to watch. Tampa's not been pretty good. Not off to a great start. Carolina kind of handled them. Carolina's handling everybody, but I love those 2 teams. They're obviously big-time teams, expecting big years out of both of them. We'll see what happens, but that's going to be, to me, that's going to be the game for tomorrow night to watch for sure. That's going to be an exciting one for me. Okay, we'll leave it there. Those are my picks. Eddie's picks. Flyers 5, Devils 2, Vancouver 4, Kings 2, Buffalo 38, Montreal 1. That is some solid sports analytics right there, my man. Right there. I think if Barzy plays well, he will deserve or get the contract he wants. It's a telling year for Barzal. It is. And you know what, though? You're negotiating with Lou Lamoriello, too. People criticize Lou for the Leo Komarov deal. People, criticize Lou for some of the moves he made up there in Toronto, Patrick Marleau. Lou is tough on the younger guys. Lou is not easy on the younger guys. If Lou ever overpays, if you notice, it's for a vet. He doesn't overpay young guys. He typically hasn't. Also, you can't afford to let Matthew Barzal walk away when you just let John Tavares walk away. So it's an interesting dynamic we will be sure to keep our eye on. Have fun watching the hockey action tonight if you are doing so. And don't forget to hit the thumbs up on the Facebook and YouTube videos. Subscribe on the podcast. Check it out. Listen there if you can. And don't forget, HockeyTalkShow.com has the link if you want to give 99 cents per month for two-way hockey talk. You can support us through Apple Pay or a credit card or whatever. 99 cents a month. Support the show if you can. It helps us offset the cost of putting on the show here live from the HockeyTalkShow.com. Have a great night, everybody. Enjoy the hockey action. We'll see you on the next shift.